Hey guys! So today we are answering a subscriber question, and the question in question was, Fredrik, what are some harsh truths you should gulp up as a software developer and accept? So let's get into it. Now this is a good one. I mean, where do we even start here? Harsh truths in software development. There's like a smorgasbord of things to pick from in this area, so I'll just pick my favorites. All right, are you ready? So number one, first and foremost thing that you need to accept as a software developer in order to make it anywhere within this industry is that you will not get by skill alone. Boom, I dropped a house of bricks on a house of bricks on you now, didn't I? Your success as a software developer has very little, like it gets to a point where it doesn't matter if you know absolutely every single textbook about programming by heart, and if you can read binary, nobody cares. You will get to a point where you basically can produce the sort of results that the industry wants, and when you get to that, it's like filling up a cup. You need to fill it up to the top, and that's when you get the most amount of value from that. Anything above that is just waste, because nobody cares. The rest of it has to do with social skills. Yes, so for all the people out there on the internet who want to believe that you can just become really good at software and you don't really have to think about all this nonsense about sitting in board meetings and talking to stakeholders and playing the political games. If you have any desire whatsoever to progress above writing code or being a code monkey, you don't have a choice. I can promise you that you don't have a choice. So software development is a lot more social and in many ways tribal than you can imagine. It's almost painful to say, but it's not even just between. You may think that it is just you trying to interact with business people where this is going to be useful, but it's actually not true. You will actually have the same problem with other coders. I don't know how many times I basically gotten the advice from my own career coaches, Fredrik, you have this idea and I'm behind it, but you need to get everybody else on board. And I go, I fucking know. I know. And I go, but are you serious? Do I actually have to go through all the work of setting up a damn PowerPoint presentation, looking up basically arming myself with a bunch of tons of facts and so forth, just to get some of my teammates to buy into an idea? And he goes, yeah, that's what you have to do, because software is a democracy. It's a democracy for the most part. Or well, I like to call it an expert democracy, where most people are aligned on things and most people have an equal say in the technical aspects of things, but usually the person whose voice weighs the heaviest, if we're just excluding like hippo opinions and some CEO somewhere coming in and telling you what's what, it's usually the fact that the most senior profile of the person with the perceived highest value within the company as a software developer has the final say, or is the one who pushes through things. You probably work with someone like that. You have a startup where the CTO of the company has a very strong opinion on certain practices and they can push in, all they have to do is basically just sit down and write the solution and everybody else go, oh yeah, sure, that's okay. But if a junior does the same thing, they're going to get a bunch of not mean-spirited necessarily, but they're going to get a bunch of comments in the code review and have to go through this process of convincing everybody that this is a good idea. And that is the political game. You should just accept it. You can be as angry as you want, but it doesn't matter. And it's not, as I said, it's not just between software developers and business people. You will have an equal value and very often an equal requirement on you to have the social skills and the sales skills, if you will, to do the same thing within just IT. So that is number one. Number two, I would say, is that you will, for the most part, never ever get to truly test your engineering expertise. You are more likely going to find yourself working in ugly code bases of some sort, or something that is not ideal, with a bunch of legacy and other issues, and you're going to have to just deal with it. You can think of it as, and this is kind of fun, I think it is, because when you're in school and when you work up towards becoming a full-fledged professional software developer, you will practice and you will train as if you're preparing for the fucking Olympics. You will. I did. I know a lot of you are as well. You train and you practice as if you're preparing for a competition. And to a point it is a competition, because the first job is that's the competition. Because once you get to the first job and you have 1 or 2 years in the industry, you will see things kind of smooth out for you. But when you actually get to that point where you kind of stabilize within the industry, you will see something. And that is that it's not a competition. It's not like the Olympics. It's very much like studying your entire, like your full part, if you will, like at an arts college. You study graphic design for 5 years, you take a master's and all that good stuff within graphical design, and then you start working as a painter. That's pretty much it. No joke. You will, for the most part, learn and push things to the point where you are prepared to do a lot more heavy lifting, if you will. But the actual work that you do is fairly boilerplate a lot of the time. It may change when, depending on company, of course, and it may not be the case if, say that you are an architect, something like that, where you have a very specific role where your job is basically, and that usually comes when you're a bit more of a senior, you need to basically know everything in order to make good decisions on behalf of the company. That's usually the role of an architect or a CTO. But as a mid-level junior programmer, it's very rare that you're going to get to play with all the fancy tools that you learn and practice your coding skills to the point where you feel truly satisfied. So what I want you to take away from this is that, off the top of my head, harsh truths that you should just kind of accept as a software developer is, number one, social skills matter a lot. Being able to convince other people, talk to people, make PowerPoint presentations, doing all this stuff, it matters more than you can possibly imagine. If you want to be successful, I can promise you that you will not get there by just being good at software development. It requires more. Second truth, you are going to, for the most part, practice, and if you're truly passionate about what you do, you're going to be in a situation where you prepare for the Olympics, but the actual work that you do is more like a slow race between you and a few other fat guys on the track. That's usually how it goes. So the best analogy I can give you is that you take a master's in graphical design, but the actual work you do is more like painting houses. That's a lot of the time your situation. Have a great day.